going to do a few videos, as if employer brand isn't a niche enough subject as it is. We're going super deep, super nichey here, and we're going to help you find a new job. Yeah, this one in particular is going to help people who want to be employer brand specialists get an employer brand specialist job. If you're liking these videos, if you're enjoying them, if you're getting a lot out of them, make sure to hit the subscribe button, especially if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, share them out. Also, if you're very excited about employer brand, go subscribe to my newsletter, employerbrandheadlines.substack.com, or just go to employerbrandlabs.com and sign up there. Every week, you can get a little smarter about employer brand, and it's free. All right, so if you're looking to become an employer brand specialist, I can assume a few things about you. You have experience elsewhere. You have done some marketing, you have done some recruiting, or maybe some coordinating, or maybe some sourcing, or maybe some, let's see, what else? You've done some social media work. Maybe you've been in the university recruiting team, right? These are the areas from which most employer brand specialists seem to come from. You'll notice that none of these people went to employer brand school. Why? No such thing. None of us have gone to employer brand school. That's fine, neither here nor there. But that's where they start, which means when they're applying for an employer brand specialist role, that assumes there's an employer brand manager role. And that manager role may take a couple of different titles. It could be global employer brand lead. It could be director of employer brand. It could be vice president employer brand. There are a handful of you. But it's mostly an employer brand manager role. And the word manager usually implies managing the brand and not managing people, in the same way that content manager is managing content and not necessarily managing people. So you have someone who is responsible for the brand, the employer brand already. Whether they work for recruiting, whether they work for marketing, doesn't matter. Someone owns the brand and the brand strategy there. So as the employer brand specialist, that's not what you're responsible for. You're responsible for doing something specific. You are responsible for bringing a couple of skill sets to bear. Now, not all specialists are the same, but they have a lot of commonalities. First off, maybe you're a great writer. Maybe you're a great videographer. Maybe you're great at social media. One major kind of skill set is what they're hiring for, right? They need an employer brand manager who can design a bunch of stuff, or write a bunch of stuff, or video a bunch of stuff. There will be some ancillary parts to the job. If you're a videographer, you might have to do some writing and some social. If you're a social person, you might have to learn how to do some video-y stuff. Whatever. It's flexible. But there's a core skill set they're looking for, because what your job is to take that work off that manager's plate. Because a manager, if you look at the video about 16 core competencies, the employer brand manager has to do a million things. It is an incredibly broad job, and no human being, I'm just going to go ahead and say, no human being can be good at all of them. They can do them all, but they won't necessarily be good at all of them. I myself have always for the longest time, shied away from the video aspect, because video production is tough, it's time consuming, and it's not where my skill sets are. Why have I decided to make a bunch of videos like this? Yeah, I know, there's something wrong with me, but that's neither here nor there. When I want to do in-work video work, I reach out to other sources, whether it's internal sources, someone who's an amateur videographer, or leveraging budget to hire a videography team to show up and do what I want them to do. I am the orchestrator and the facilitator. They are the experts. And as a specialist, you are an expert at something. So own that expertise. The second part of that thing is to take that expertise and show how it applies to employer brand. Now, you may never have done official employer brand work, but you've told stories about people, right? Presumably, whether you're a videographer, a social media person, or a writer, whatever, that's the job, is to show how your work supports and excites the people side of the business. Why people work there, why people love working there, getting deeper than, I like working here because it's a fun place to work. Getting deeper, getting into their emotions, asking better questions, finding those lines or those phrases or those words that they say that make someone else go, oh, it's like that. That's the secondary power. That's the real secondary skill. You might be a social media person, but the other thing you need is the ability to pull and find more better information, right? From whatever subject matter you've got. Show your manager that you have that core skill set, that you know how to think in terms of telling very human stories, and you're like 80% of the way there. That is what people are looking for when they're looking for a specialist. The other part of this is that most employer brand managers have been doing this for 2 years. So they have kind of like their own sense of what this job is, and it may not align with what I'm saying right here, and that's fine. What I would suggest is to tell them how you can help them. Your whole resume, if you do a cover letter, I guess people still do that. Your cover letter then, your outreach, whatever, is to say, look, I have these hard skills, but I also know how to apply them to this idea that you're focused on, and I know how to take things off your plate. If you can tell that story, if you can get the employer brand owner, manager, lead, what have you, to understand how you support them, how you can take stuff off their plate, to give them room to have bigger thoughts, to kind of say, oh, how do I orchestrate bigger ideas? You are going to be the top person at their list. You are going to be the person who understands what they're trying to achieve. Don't fret about what the job posting itself says. We all know by now the job postings are mostly lies, or most, at worst, guesses. Don't worry about that. Show that you understand that you can tell these people stories, that you have these specialist skills, that you can bring them to bear to support their goal and their vision of telling human stories, and you will be the person they want to talk to first. And that's how you get the employer brand specialist job. Hope this was useful. I'll talk to you later. Thanks so much for watching the Employer Brand Minute.